She counted her coins twice at the register, $137. Not enough for diapers. Then a stranger in a black coat stepped forward and bought every pack in the store, without asking. What she didn't know, the Mafia boss who'd just saved her wasn't being kind. He'd noticed how fast she could calculate numbers in her head, and he'd been looking for someone exactly like her. Maya's hands trembled as she smoothed out the crumpled dollar bill on the counter. $1.37 in loose change. That's what stood between her daughter and a dry night. "That'll be $847, the cashier said, not looking up from her phone. The fluorescent lights of the 24-hour convenience store buzzed overhead like angry wasps. Outside, rain hammered against the windows, turning the parking lot into a sheet of black glass. Maya had walked here after her shift at the diner, her shoes still damp from the puddles, her uniform reeking of grease and desperation. Can I just get one pack?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She pointed to the smallest package of diapers on the shelf behind the counter. The cashier sighed dramatically and scanned it. "That's $699. Plus tax, $755. Maya's stomach dropped. She laid out her dollar and the coins, counting them twice, knowing the answer wouldn't change. $137. She'd spent her last $10 on baby formula that morning. Her card had exactly $0.23 in the account. She'd checked 3 times on the walkover. "Card?" the cashier asked, hand already reaching for the machine. It won't work," Maya admitted, heat flooding her cheeks. Maybe I can come back tomorrow?" "Ma'am, I've got a line." Maya turned. She hadn't noticed anyone behind her. The man stood perfectly still, raindrops sliding off his black wool coat like water off stone. He was tall, maybe mid-40s, with silver threading through dark hair slicked back from a face that seemed carved rather than born. His eyes were the color of smoke, and when they settled on Maya, she felt like a mouse suddenly aware of the hawk's shadow. But what struck her most wasn't his appearance. It was his stillness. In a city where everyone fidgeted, checked phones, tapped feet, this man existed in absolute calm, like a knife resting in its sheath. "I'll take them all," he said. His voice was quiet, accented, Eastern European, maybe Russian, but it carried weight. The kind of voice that didn't need to be raised to be heard. "City?" The cashier looked up for the first time. "Every pack of diapers in this store." "I'll take them." He pulled out a black leather wallet, removing a platinum card with the ease of someone who'd never checked a price tag in his life. The cashier blinked. "Sir, that's like 40 packs. Maybe more." "Then ring them up." Maya stood frozen, her dollar still clutched in her fist. This had to be some kind of joke. Or a trap. Nothing in Maya's 26 years had taught her that strangers helped without wanting something back. Usually something that cost more than money. "I can't accept," she started. "You're not," the man interrupted, still not looking at her.
"I'm buying inventory."
"What the store chooses to do with it afterward is their business." He handed his card to the cashier, who seemed just as confused as Maya but began scanning packs of diapers with mechanical efficiency. The total climbed on the screen. $24,783. The man didn't flinch. While the cashier bagged everything, he finally turned to Maya. Up close, she noticed a thin scar running from his left ear to his jaw, barely visible in the harsh light. His suit probably cost more than her monthly rent. Everything about him screamed money and danger in equal measure. "You have a child," he said. Not a question. Maya nodded, instinctively stepping back. "How old?" 7 months. Why was she answering? "My daughter was that age once." Something flickered across his face, too quick to name. "It's a difficult time. Being alone."
"I'm managing." Maya lied.
The corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "Of course," the cashier finished, presenting him with a receipt as long as Maya's arm. The man took it, folded it precisely, and handed it to Maya along with a small black business card. The card was heavy, expensive stock, with raised lettering she could barely read in the dim light. "If you ever want to stop managing," he said, "and start thriving." Then he walked out into the rain, leaving 40 packs of diapers on the counter and Maya holding a card that felt like it was burning her fingers. The cashier stared after him, then at Maya, then at the mountain of diapers. What the hell just happened? Maya looked down at the card. No company name. Just a phone number in silver ink and 3 letters. AVV. "Take what you need," the cashier said, suddenly kind. Guy paid for it. Weird as hell, but paid. Maya grabbed 2 packs, more than she could carry, but her daughter needed them. As she pushed through the door into the rain, she glanced back at the store. Through the streaked window, she could see the cashier already calling someone, probably her manager, gesturing wildly at the diaper display. A black car idled at the curb, its engine purring like a contented predator. The man sat in the back seat, visible through tinted glass that had been rolled down exactly 2 inches. He was watching her. Their eyes met. He raised 2 fingers in the smallest of acknowledgments, and the window slid shut. The car pulled away, silent despite its size, disappearing into the rain-soaked streets like it had never existed at all. Maya stood there getting drenched, her daughter's diapers clutched to her chest, a strange card in her pocket, and a feeling crawling up her spine that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't begin to understand. She'd seen that look before, in the eyes of her old math professor who told her she was brilliant, that she could do anything. The look that saw potential. But Professor Martinez had been offering scholarships. This man, whoever he was offering something else entirely. Maya walked home through the rain, and for the first time in 7 months, she wasn't thinking about her empty bank account or her dead-end job or the eviction notice she knew was coming. She was thinking about the way that man had bought 40 packs of diapers without hesitation. The way money bent reality around him like gravity around a black hole. She was thinking about thriving. And that, she would later realize, was when everything started to fall apart. Or come together. Sometimes she'd learn those 2 things looked exactly the same. Maya woke to her daughters crying and the sound of knocking. For a confused moment, she thought they were the same sound, sharp, insistent, demanding attention. The clock read 7:43 a.m. She'd slept through her alarm. Again. "Coming," she called, scooping Lily from the crib and bouncing her automatically while stumbling toward the door. Probably Mrs. Chun from downstairs, complaining about noise. Or her landlord, early with bad news. She opened the door, without checking the peephole. The man standing in her hallway didn't belong there. He wore a charcoal suit that fit like it had been measured on his body, not bought off a rack. His hair was perfectly styled, his shoes polished to mirrors. He looked like he'd stepped out of a corporate boardroom and gotten lost on his way to somewhere important. Except for his eyes. They were hard and watchful, scanning her apartment over her shoulder in one quick, professional sweep. "Maya Torres?" he asked. Every instinct screamed at her to slam the door. "Who's asking?" "My name is Mikhail Petrov. I work for Anton Volkov." He reached slowly into his jacket, giving her time to see it coming, and produced a business card identical to the one burning a hole in her jeans pocket from last night. "May I come in? This concerns an employment opportunity." "I have a job." "You have 2 jobs," Mikhail corrected gently. "The diner, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then the call center, 4 to midnight. You sleep 4 hours a night when you're lucky. Your daughter spends 10 hours a day with a babysitter who charges you almost everything you earn from the first job." Maya's blood turned cold. "How do you?" "Mr. Volkov is thorough." Mikhail's expression didn't change, but something in his tone softened. "May I? This won't take long, and what I'm offering will interest you." Against every ounce of common sense, Maya stepped back. Mikhail entered, moving with a peculiar grace, like a dancer or a fighter. He glanced around her apartment. The peeling wallpaper, the second-hand furniture, the stack of bills on the counter marked final notice in red, and his face remained professionally neutral. He waited until she sat before sitting himself, perched on the edge of her battered couch like he was afraid it might contaminate his suit. Mr. Volkov owns several businesses in the city, Mikhail began. Last night, he observed something interesting. The cashier's register malfunctioned briefly. You may not have noticed. The total jumped from $847 to $1,783, then back. You saw it. Your eyes tracked the numbers, and your lips moved. You were calculating. Maya's heart hammered. She barely remembered that. How had he noticed? When Mr. Volkov reviewed the security footage this morning, he timed it. You corrected the error in your head faster than the machine recalculated. 3 seconds. Mikhail leaned forward slightly. Do you know what that tells us about you, Ms. Torres? That I'm good at math? Maya said weakly. That you're exceptional at math. Mr. Volkov checked your background. You were on academic scholarship at State University, studying accounting. Dean's list every semester. Then you left in your junior year. His pause was deliberate. When you got pregnant. The words hit like a slap. Maya held Lily tighter. That's none of your business. It is if we want to offer you one. Mikhail pulled out a folder she hadn't noticed him carrying. Mr. Volkov owns a private club downtown. High-end clientele. Members only. He needs someone to manage the books, reconcile accounts, track inventory, ensure everything balances. Legitimate work. He slid the folder across her coffee table. Maya didn't touch it. The pay is $5,000 monthly. To start. Maya's breath caught. 5,000? She made barely 1,800 between both jobs. Before taxes ate half of it. There are benefits, Mikhail continued. Health insurance for you and your daughter. Flexible hours. You'd work evenings, but we provide childcare on site. A signing bonus of $2,000 to cover immediate expenses. It was too much. Way too much. What's the catch? The catch, Mikhail said carefully, is that Mr. Volkov's business ventures are private. You would see financial information that stays confidential. You would meet people who value discretion. You would need to understand that some questions are better left unasked. There it was. The hook buried in the bait. You're criminals, Maya said flatly. Mikhail didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it either. We're businessmen who operate in gray areas. The club itself is completely legal. The bookkeeping you do involves legitimate transactions. What happens in the larger world of Mr. Volkov's interests? That wouldn't concern you. Unless it did. Unless it did, Mikhail agreed. Which is why we're having this conversation. So you can decide if you want to step through this door. Maya looked down at Lily, who'd fallen asleep against her shoulder, tiny fingers curled in Maya's shirt. She thought about the eviction notice she'd found yesterday, shoved under her door. 30 days to come up with $1,800 she didn't have. She thought about her daughter growing up in homeless shelters. Or worse, taken by social services because Maya couldn't provide. I need to think about it, she whispered. Mikhail stood smoothly. Of course. You have my card. The offer stands for 48 hours. He moved to the door, then paused. Ms. Torres? Mr. Volkov doesn't make these offers lightly. He sees something in you. Something rare. It would be a shame to waste it serving coffee and answering complaint calls. After he left, Maya sat in the silence of her apartment, holding her daughter and the folder she'd finally opened. Inside was a contract.
Clean.
Professional. Legal-looking. And a check for $2,000, already made out in her name, dated today. All she had to do was sign. Maya had 36 hours left to decide when the universe decided for her. The first blow came at the welfare office, where she'd waited 3 hours in plastic chairs that made her back ache, only to be told by a tired woman behind plexiglass that her emergency assistance application had been denied. Budget cuts. New restrictions. Come back next quarter. Next quarter? Maya repeated numbly. I need help now. I understand, but my daughter needs. Ma'am, there are people waiting. Maya left with nothing but a photocopied list of food banks and a pamphlet about applying for public housing. The waiting list was 2 years long. The second blow was waiting on her door when she got home. The eviction notice was printed on official court letterhead, all capital letters and legal jargon that boiled down to one simple truth. She had 14 days to pay $3,600 in back rent, or the sheriff would remove her belongings to the curb. 14 days. Not the 30 she'd thought she had. Maya's hands shook as she read it again, as if the words might change. They didn't. Behind her, Mrs. Chin emerged from her apartment, eyes sliding away when they met Maya's. "You knew," Maya said. "You knew he was filing." "I'm sorry, honey." Mrs. Chin actually looked at Mr. Kowalski. "He's selling the building. New owners want everyone out. He's evicting half the tenants." She hesitated. "There's a shelter on Madison Street. They take women with children." Maya couldn't breathe. A shelter. She'd promised herself, promised Lily, that they'd never end up in a shelter. That she'd work herself to death before she'd let that happen. Apparently, working herself to death wasn't enough. She made it inside before the tears came. Lily, oblivious in her playpen, babbled at a stuffed rabbit. Maya sank to the floor beside her, pressing her forehead against the worn carpet, trying to remember how to breathe. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sandra, her babysitter. "We need to talk. Can I call?" Maya's stomach clenched. She dialed. Sandra answered on the first ring. "Maya, I'm so sorry, but I can't watch Lily anymore." The words took a moment to register.
What?
Sandra, did I do something?
No. God, no.
It's my mom. She had a stroke. I'm moving to Phoenix next week to take care of her. Sandra's voice cracked. I know the timing is terrible. I tried finding someone to take over, but everyone I know is already full, and... Maya barely heard the rest. She made appropriate sounds, said she understood, wished Sandra's mother well. When the call ended, she sat in the silence of her falling apart life and did the math. No childcare meant no work. No work meant no income. No income with 14 days to find $3,600 meant. The folder sat on her kitchen counter where she'd left it. The check peeked out from inside, crisp and clean and impossible. $2,000. With her name on it. She picked up Mikhail's card and dialed before she could think better of it. He answered immediately, as if he'd been waiting. "Miss Torres." "The job," Maya said. Her voice sounded far away, like someone else was speaking. "Is it still available?" "It is." "The childcare you mentioned, is it safe? Clean? Spotless? Licensed? 2 full-time staff members. Mr. Volkov's own niece uses the same facility when she visits." Maya closed her eyes. "If I do this, if I take the job, I need boundaries. I do the books, nothing else. I don't get involved in anything illegal. The second I'm asked to do something that crosses that line, I'm out." Mr. Volkov expected those terms, Mikhail said. "He finds them reasonable." How did he? Maya stopped. Of course he expected it. He knew everything else about her. "When do I start?" "Tomorrow evening. 6 p.m. I'll text you the address." A pause. "You're making the right choice, Miss Torres." Was she? Maya looked at Lily, who'd fallen asleep clutching her rabbit, peaceful and unaware that her mother had just made a deal with the devil. Or someone close enough to make no difference. "I hope so," Maya whispered. After she hung up, she picked up the check. Her hands had stopped shaking. That scared her more than the trembling had. The steadiness felt like surrender, like some essential part of her resistance had crumbled. She took a photo of the check and deposited it through her bank's app. The money would clear by tomorrow. Blood money, maybe. Except nobody had bled for it yet. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She stood at her window watching the street below, where cars passed like sharks in dark water. One of them, a black sedan with tinted windows, had been parked across the street for the past hour. Watching. Protecting, maybe. Or ensuring she didn't run. Maya pressed her hand against a cold glass and wondered which would be worse, if she'd made a terrible mistake, or if she discovered she was exactly the kind of person who could thrive in Anton Volkov's world. By dawn, she still didn't know. But she'd find out soon enough. The club didn't have a name on the door. just an address and a brass lion's head knocker that gleamed under a single light. Maya stood on the sidewalk, her hand hovering over the knocker, wondering if she could still turn back. Behind her, the black sedan that had followed her from home idled at the curb. The driver, a mountain of a man in a dark suit, gave her an almost imperceptible nod. No turning back. She knocked. The door opened immediately, revealing a woman in her 50s with silver hair swept into an elegant twist. Ms. Torres. Welcome. I'm Irina. Her accent matched Anton's, her smile warm but professional. Please come in. The interior stole Maya's breath. Where she'd expected dark, smoky rooms and shadowy corners, she found old-world elegance. Marble floors reflected light from crystal chandeliers. Oil paintings in gilded frames lined walls covered in deep burgundy silk. A grand staircase curved upward, its banister polished mahogany. Live jazz drifted from somewhere deeper inside, a saxophone, smooth and melancholy. Mr. Volkov is expecting you, Irina said, leading Maya through a room where well-dressed men and women sat in leather chairs, drinking amber liquid from crystal glasses. They looked like lawyers, politicians, old money, not criminals. But Maya had learned that the two weren't mutually exclusive. Irina stopped at a door guarded by another suited man who opened it without a word. Go ahead, dear. The office was smaller than Maya expected, lined with bookshelves that held leather-bound volumes in multiple languages. A fireplace crackled softly. Behind a desk that looked like it had witnessed a century of secrets sat Anton Volkov. He stood when she entered. Ms. Torres. Thank you for coming. He gestured to a chair across from him. Please. Maya sat, acutely aware of her discount store blouse and Target slacks in this room of cashmere and silk. Anton, however, didn't seem to notice or care. He wore a simple black shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms marked with scars that told stories he'd never share. Would you like something to drink? Tea? Coffee?
Ai fine.
Straight to business, then. I appreciate that. Anton sat, folding his hands on the desk. Mikhail explained the position. Do you have questions? What am I really doing here? Maya asked. And don't tell me it's just bookkeeping. Something flickered in Anton's eyes. Approval, maybe. It is bookkeeping. My businesses generate significant paperwork. Someone must organize it, ensure the numbers align, track discrepancies. That someone will be you. And if I find something wrong, define wrong. Illegal. Anton leaned back, considering her with that unsettling stillness. Ms. Torres, the club you're sitting in is entirely legal. Licensed, taxed, inspected. The same for my restaurants, my import business, my real estate holdings. You'll work primarily with those accounts. Primarily. There may be transactions that seem unusual. Money moved in ways that don't follow obvious logic. He paused. Your job is to record them accurately, not to judge them.
Can you do that?
Maya thought about Lily in the child care center downstairs, where she'd left her 20 minutes ago. The facility was beautiful, bright, clean, staffed by women who looked like they actually cared. Lily had smiled when one of them picked her up. I need a rule, Maya said. I don't want blood on my hands. Whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it to, I don't want to be part of that. Then don't look too closely, Anton said simply.
Do your job.
Take your pay. Provide for your daughter. Everything else, he made a dismissive gesture. Everything else is my burden, not yours. Can I really believe that? No, his honesty was more frightening than a lie would have been. But you can try. And if the day comes when you can't, you'll tell me, and we'll part ways. I'm not in the business of keeping unwilling employees. Maya wanted to believe him. Needed to. Okay. Anton opened a drawer and removed a laptop and a stack of ledgers. These are the club's accounts for the past quarter. Mistakes were made, probably by my previous accountant who retired recently. I need you to find them. He slid everything across to her. Maya opened the first ledger, and despite everything, the fear, the moral compromise, the danger, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Confidence. The numbers made sense to her. They spoke in a language she understood better than English. Within minutes, she'd found the first error, a transposed digit in a liquor order that had cascaded into a $15,000 discrepancy. Here, she said, pointing. Anton looked, then smiled, a real smile that transformed his face from marble to flesh. 4 minutes. My previous accountant took 3 days to find that. It's obvious if you know what to look for. To you, perhaps, he stood. Irina will show you to your workspace. You'll have access to everything you need. And Miss Torres. He waited until she met his eyes. Welcome to the family. The word family sent ice through her veins. Because in Anton Volkov's world, Maya suspected, family was both a promise and a threat. 2 weeks into the job, Maya found the ghost accounts. She'd been working late in the small office Irina had set up for her, a converted storage room with a desk, computer, and a window overlooking the alley. The club hummed with activity below. Music, laughter, the clink of glasses. But up here, Maya existed in a world of numbers that told stories the people downstairs would never speak aloud. The legitimate accounts were clean. Almost too clean. Restaurant revenues, real estate transactions, import manifests, everything documented, taxed, legal. But Maya had learned to see the spaces between numbers, the gaps where logic should connect but didn't. Why did a restaurant supply order cost $47,000 when the itemized list totaled $31,000? Where did the extra $16,000 go? She created a spreadsheet, tracking anomalies. By midnight, she had 17 entries. By 2 a.m., she'd found the pattern. The excess money moved through a shell company called Meridian Holdings, then disappeared into accounts labeled only with number codes. No names. No paper trail. Just money flowing like an underground river. You should go home. Maya jumped, heart hammering. Anton stood in the doorway, still dressed despite the late hour. How long had he been watching? I found something, she said, then hesitated. Was she supposed to find this? Or pretend she hadn't? Anton closed the door and approached her desk. Show me. Maya pulled up her spreadsheet, hands trembling slightly. These transactions, they don't match the invoices. The money is going somewhere else. Where? I don't know. The accounts are coded, she looked up at him. What is this? Anton studied the screen, his face unreadable. The cost of doing business in this city. Protection payments, permits that require encouragement, investments in ventures that prefer anonymity. He met her eyes. The things I told you not to look at too closely. I'm an accountant. Looking closely is what I do. And you're exceptional at it. Anton pulled up a chair, sitting beside her. Which is why I'm going to trust you with something. These accounts you found, they need to be invisible. If auditors come, if police investigate, they see only the clean books.
Can you do that?
Maya's mouth went dry. He was asking her to hide criminal activity, to become complicit. If I say no, then you've seen too much to simply walk away. His voice was soft, almost regretful. I would relocate you. New city, new identity, money to start fresh. You'd never hear from me again. It should have sounded like a threat. Instead, it sounded like an exit ramp she'd never get again. Maya looked at her spreadsheet, at the evidence of crimes she couldn't even name. Then she thought about Lily, asleep in their apartment that no longer had an eviction notice taped to the door. About the health insurance that had covered Lily's checkup last week. About the savings account that, for the first time in her life, wasn't empty. I'll need access to the source accounts, she said quietly, to make it seamless. Anton's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the air between them. Mikhail will arrange it tomorrow. He stood, then paused. You're making a choice tonight, Miss Torres. Once you cross this line, there's no going back. I crossed the line the night you bought those diapers, Maya said. I just didn't know it yet. Perhaps Anton moved to the door. Or perhaps you're only now discovering who you've always been. After he left, Maya sat in the silence, staring at her screen. She should feel guilty, scared, something. Instead, she felt alive. The next morning, she had access to everything. Account numbers that led to offshore holdings, shell companies nested inside shell companies like Russian dolls. It was beautiful in its complexity, terrifying in its implications. Maya spent the day reorganizing everything, creating a dual system. One set of books showing legitimate business, another, encrypted, hidden, showing the truth. She was so absorbed, she didn't notice Mikhail enter until he spoke. Impressive work, he stood behind her, reading her screen. Anton said you were brilliant. He undersold it. Thank you, Maya said, uncomfortable with the praise. One more thing. Mikhail placed a phone on her desk. New, expensive. Your personal phone isn't secure. Use this for any business communication. It's encrypted. Maya picked it up, feeling its weight. Another chain, wrapped in necessity. That night, walking to her car, Maya noticed the black sedan following her home again. She'd gotten used to it. Her shadow, silent and constant. But tonight, there was a second car. A gray SUV, staying 3 cars back. Maya's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Anton's men drove black sedans. So who drove the gray SUV? She took a random turn, then another. The black sedan followed smoothly. The gray SUV hesitated, then continued. Not protection.
Surveillance.
Maya drove home with ice in her veins, checking her mirrors every few seconds. The SUV disappeared after 6 blocks, but the message was clear. Someone else was watching. And they knew exactly where she lived. Maya smelled the blood before she saw it. She'd picked up Lily from daycare and climbed the stairs to her apartment, fumbling with her keys while balancing her daughter on one hip. The door was already unlocked. Every muscle in her body screamed to run. Instead, she pushed it open. Her apartment had been ransacked. Drawers pulled out, cushions slashed, books swept from shelves. And on her kitchen table, pinned under a knife that had been driven through the wood, was a photograph of Lily, taken yesterday at the daycare center. The blood, she realized it was paint, not blood, but the message was the same, had been used to write 3 words across the white wall, ledgers or baby. Maya's knees buckled. She clutched Lily tighter, backing toward the door, when her phone rang. The encrypted one Mikhail had given her. Don't scream. Don't run, Anton's voice was ice. Get out of the apartment. The black sedan is downstairs.
Now.
Maya ran. The driver had the door open before she reached the curb. Within seconds, they were moving, weaving through traffic with practiced precision. Maya held Lily against her chest, feeling her daughter's heartbeat, trying to match her breathing to it.
Calm. Stay calm.
They arrived at the club through a back entrance Maya had never seen. Anton met them in a private room, Mikhail beside him. Both men looked at the photo Maya still clutched in her shaking hand, and something dark crossed Anton's face. Kozlov, Mikhail said quietly. Yes, Anton's jaw tightened. They're getting desperate. Who's Kozlov? Maya demanded. A competitor with poor manners, Anton took the photo from her, studying it with cold fury. You've become valuable to me, Miss Torres. Which makes you valuable to them. They want my financial records, specifically the offshore accounts you've been organizing. They think threatening you'll give them leverage. They threaten my daughter, Maya's voice cracked. She's 7 months old. I know. And they will pay for that. Anton handed the photo to Mikhail. Double security on the daycare. No one in or out without clearance. Find out who took this picture. Already working on it, Mikhail left without another word. Maya sank into a chair, Lily still pressed against her. I can't do this. I can't put her in danger. You're safer here than anywhere else, Anton said. Kozlov made his move. Now he'll wait to see if you break. If you run or go to the police, he wins. If you stay, I can protect you. Can you? Maya looked up at him. Can you really? Before Anton could answer, the door opened. But instead of Mikhail, 2 men in dark suits entered, holding badges. FBI, the older one said. Miss Torres, we need to talk. Anton didn't move. Get out. We're not here for you, Mr. Volkov. Not yet, the agent, his badge said Collins, focused on Maya. We've been investigating Anton Volkov's organization for 8 months. We know what you've been doing. The dual books. The offshore accounts. You're in deep, Miss Torres. Maya's world tilted. How did you? We've had surveillance on you for 3 weeks. Collins pulled out his own photos. Maya entering the club, Maya at her desk, Maya's spreadsheets captured through her window. We know about Kozlov's threat. We can protect you. Witness protection, new identities for you and your daughter, financial security. All you have to do is testify. She does that, she's dead in a month, Anton said flatly. She stays with you, she's dead or in prison. Collins leaned closer to Maya. You're an accomplice to money laundering, possibly worse. But you're also a victim. Help us, and we'll help you. Maya looked between them, the FBI agent promising salvation, Anton promising protection. Both lying. Both telling the truth. She was caught between forces that would crush her without hesitation if she chose wrong. I need time, she whispered. You have 24 hours, Collins said. After that, we move forward with or without you. He placed a card on the table. Another card, another choice. Call me. After they left, Anton poured himself a drink. His hand was steady, but Maya saw the tension in his shoulders. What happens if I talk to them? She asked. Kozlov kills you before you testify. Or he doesn't, and I do. Anton's bluntness was almost a relief. But I don't think you will. Why not? Because you're smart enough to know the FBI can't protect you from either of us. Not really, he met her eyes. And because you've finally found something you're good at. Something that makes you matter. You won't give that up easily. Maya hated that he was right. She hated more that she was already thinking about how to use this. All of it. The FBI, Kozlov, Anton, pieces on a board only she could see. Because Maya Torres had spent her whole life being powerless. She was done with that. Maya spent 18 hours building her trap and 3 minutes watching it spring. She'd worked through the night, fingers flying across her keyboard, creating a masterpiece of deception. 3 versions of the ledgers. 3 different stories. 3 targets. Version 1 for Kozlov showed Anton's offshore accounts with inflated numbers and false locations. Bait too tempting to ignore, leading to a warehouse on the pier that the FBI had been monitoring for weeks. Version 2 for the FBI appeared to be Anton's real records, carefully leaked through an anonymous tip. Just enough truth mixed with misdirection to keep them busy while the real action happened elsewhere. Version 3, the truth, stayed encrypted on a drive in her pocket. The hard part wasn't creating the forgeries. It was making sure the right people got the right information at precisely the right time. And making sure Mikhail thought he was playing her. She'd suspected him for days. Little things, the way he always knew where she'd been, the questions that seemed too specific, the gray SUV she'd traced to a rental company that accepted cash payments. Mikhail was playing both sides, feeding information to Kozlov while keeping Anton's trust. Tonight, she'd prove it. Maya arrived at the club at 8 p.m., the encrypted phone Mikhail gave her in one hand, her personal phone in the other. Anton was waiting in his office with Mikhail and 2 other men she recognized as Anton's inner circle. It's done, Maya said, setting a folder on Anton's desk. Everything Kozlov wants. Account numbers, access codes, transfer schedules. Mikhail's eyes flickered. You're giving it to them? I'm giving them what they think they want. Maya opened the folder, showing pages of financial data. These accounts lead to the warehouse on Pier 17. When Kozlov's men try to access them, they'll trigger an alert that pings directly to... She looked at Anton. Whoever you want to know about it. The FBI, Anton said slowly, understanding dawning. You're leading Kozlov into a federal trap. He threatened my daughter. I don't forget that. Maya pulled up a map on her laptop. Agent Collins has had surveillance on that warehouse for 2 months. He thinks you're using it for arms deals. You're not. It's one of Kozlov's distribution points. I verified it through the shipping manifests. Anton leaned back, studying her with new appreciation. How do they get the information? Already done. Maya held up the encrypted phone. I sent coordinates to a number Mikhail gave me 3 days ago. He said it was a secure backup contact. She turned to Mikhail, whose face had gone pale. Except it wasn't your backup. It was Kozlov's lieutenant. Want to explain that, Mikhail? The room went silent. Mikhail's hand moved toward his jacket. Anton's men were faster. Within seconds, Mikhail was pressed against the wall, a gun to his head. You're wrong, Mikhail gasped. Anton, she's lying. Show me. Anton's voice could have frozen blood. Maya pulled up her personal phone, displaying weeks of call logs and location data she'd been secretly recording. Every time I found something in the ledgers, Mikhail knew within hours. Every meeting I attended, every file I accessed, someone told Kozlov. The gray SUV that followed me? Registered to a company Mikhail has connections to through his cousin. She opened her encrypted email, showing sent messages. And tonight, when I sent those coordinates through the phone he gave me, they went straight to a number that called Kozlov's club 6 times in the past week. Anton stood, walking slowly toward Mikhail. How long? Anton, please. How long have you been betraying me? Mikhail's resistance crumbled. 8 months. They had my sister. They said they'd kill her if I didn't. Your sister is in Prague, living on money I've been sending her. Anton's voice was soft, deadly. I checked when I first suspected you last week. You've been playing everyone, including Kozlov. Taking payment from all sides. Maya felt sick. She'd exposed him, but the consequences would be brutal. The police? Mikhail asked desperately. Are currently raiding Pier 17, Maya said, checking her phone. Where Kozlov's men just walked into a sting operation, carrying falsified documents that conveniently trace back to Kozlov's actual holdings. She looked at Anton. Agent Collins will have enough evidence to dismantle Kozlov's operation. You stay clean. Anton smiled, cold, pleased, terrifying. Brilliant. He turned to his men. Take Mikhail to the car. I'll deal with him, personally. As they dragged Mikhail out, he screamed at Maya. You've just signed your death warrant. You think Anton will let you walk away, knowing everything you know? The door slammed. Silence filled the office. Maya stood alone with Anton, her heart hammering. He's right, you know, Anton said quietly. You are a liability. I'm an asset, Maya corrected. I just took out your enemy and your traitor in one move. And I did it without getting blood on either of our hands. She pulled the encrypted drive from her pocket. Your real ledgers. Untouched. The FBI thinks they have everything, but they have nothing that leads back to you. Anton took the drive, weighing it in his palm. You'd make a remarkable partner. I make a better accountant. Is that all you want to be? Maya thought about Lily, sleeping safely in the heavily guarded apartment Anton had moved them to. About the power she'd felt tonight, moving pieces across a board while everyone else played checkers. For now, she said. 3 days later, Maya walked into Anton's office and placed an envelope on his desk. My resignation, she said simply. Anton looked up from the newspaper he'd been reading. The headline screamed about a major bust at the pier, 15 arrests, millions in seized assets, the city's organized crime unit celebrating their biggest victory in years. Kozlov's name appeared 17 times in the article. Anton's didn't appear once. Sit, he said. Maya remained standing. I appreciate everything you've done. The apartment, the protection, the opportunity. But I'm leaving the city. Today. You think you can just walk away? I think I earned it. Maya pulled out a tablet, showing him a file structure. I spent the last 3 days cleaning everything. Your legitimate businesses have spotless records. The offshore accounts are layered so deeply, even I couldn't trace them back to you now. Everything questionable has been isolated, encrypted, and stored somewhere even you don't know about. Anton's expression darkened. Insurance. Mutual assured destruction. Maya corrected. If something happens to me or my daughter, those files go to every law enforcement agency in the country. If I betray you, you know where to find me. She met his eyes. We're even. We stay even by staying apart. You've thought this through. I'm good with numbers. Risk calculation is just another equation. Anton stood, walking to his window, overlooking the city. Where will you go? Does it matter? No, he turned back to her. But I'm curious. What does freedom look like for Maya Torres? Maya thought about the train tickets in her pocket. The new apartment she'd secured in a city where no one knew her name. The job offer from a legitimate accounting firm. Boring, stable, safe.
Ordinary, she said.
Freedom looks ordinary. You'll be bored within a year. Maybe Maya smiled slightly. But I'll be bored with a daughter who doesn't grow up in a world of blood and ledgers. That's worth it. Anton studied her for a long moment, then walked to a safe. He pulled out a thick envelope and handed it to her. Your final payment, plus a bonus for exceptional work under difficult circumstances. Maya opened it. $50,000 in cash. That's too much. It's exactly what you're worth. Anton returned to his desk. The car that's been following you the past 3 days, it will escort you to the train station. After that, you're on your own. My protection ends at the city limits. Understood. Maya hesitated, then asked the question that had haunted her since that first night. Your daughter, the one you mentioned, what happened to her? Anton's face went carefully blank. She's safe. Living with her mother in Vienna. I haven't seen her in 6 years. His voice softened almost imperceptibly. It's better that way. Safer. Maya understood then. Anton hadn't been recruiting her. He'd been saving her, giving her the power to save herself before his world consumed her completely, the way it had consumed his family. Thank you, she said quietly. Don't thank me. You did the hard part. Anton opened his newspaper again. A clear dismissal. Goodbye, Miss Torres. I hope you find your ordinary life. Maya walked out of the office, through the club where she'd spent 6 weeks learning how to be someone she'd never imagined. Irina pressed a bag of cookies into her hands for the baby, her eyes suspiciously bright. The security guards nodded respectfully as she passed. Outside, the black sedan waited. Lily was already secured in a car seat, courtesy of Anton's men, sleeping peacefully with her stuffed rabbit. Maya slid in beside her daughter, and the driver pulled smoothly into traffic. At the train station, Maya bought 2 tickets with cash. The platform was crowded with travelers rushing toward their futures, oblivious to the woman in the discount store coat who just outplayed the mob, the FBI, and her own fear. As the train pulled away from the station, Maya looked back at the city skyline. Somewhere in that steel and glass maze, Anton Volkov was already rebuilding what she'd helped him protect. Somewhere, Agent Collins was celebrating a victory he didn't understand. Somewhere, Kozlov was learning that crossing the wrong accountant had cost him everything. And Maya? Maya held her sleeping daughter and watched the city disappear into the distance, carrying with it the person she'd briefly become, brilliant, dangerous, powerful. She didn't regret leaving that person behind. But she knew, with absolute certainty, that if she ever needed her again, she'd know exactly where to find her. In the numbers, in the silence between transactions, in the spaces where desperate women learned they were stronger than they'd ever imagined. The train carried them toward ordinary. And ordinary had never looked so beautiful.